And then I gotta get out of it, and then get on the Zoom.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Okay, there we go.
And then I gotta get out. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so hi, welcome. We are now live on YouTube, and I had to close it out so you don't hear me talking twice. So welcome to our amazing conversations. My dear friend Caitlin, we are two menopausal women in the apocalypse, hot flashing and brain fogging our way through this reality. And we're here to just dive deep into a lot of spiritual stuff that we've been studying over the years. And it really realize it's key in this time of our life to be really practicing the spiritual realms and being I don't know, just deepening our relationship in whatever non-reality we're living in. So what we're going to do is we're going to recap, well, Caitlin will recap what we discussed last week, so you'll have to watch that video. And then we're going to dive deep into um, we have allies in this reality through the elements. And Caitlin is so amazing and knowledgeable on all this. And so she's going to go in deep of what are the elements and how can we work with them to benefit our life and really create what we want in this reality. And I'm Jemaa and I am an Akashic Records librarian. I am able to read energy. Akashic. I never know what I'm going to say of who I am. Like, I really don't know yet. No, no, we're just trying to figure it out here. But I, do a little bit of everything. But my main thing is I do love to go in and help clients read their Akash and clear things, and that can benefit and help them in this reality we're in right now. Caitlin, tell us about yourself.
And you're an herbalist, don't forget.
Oh yes, I'm a herbalist. I'm a mom. I know there's like yes, that is I am
Titles.
passionate about herbs. Thank you. And I do make herbal products at home and I just love it, love it. Lots of herbal teas. Thank you for reminding me of that. And
Check
all
out
of
her
the
website for products.
yeah, so we'll put, everything in the description of like what we offer, our website. I do have products for sale on my website. And so please go check that out and see what we do as well. And I'll put Caitlin's website as well. So yeah, let us know. Tell everybody that's watching your amazing gifts, Caitlin, because you are so
Oh, wow.
amazing.
Where to begin? Um,
Right?
well, I have been working for the last, I don't know, most of my life really towards really trying to understand this reality better and how to thrive and really feel good no matter what time we're in. So I studied a lot of history. I'm a deep seeker, and I've also done my own work to clear all past traumas. And I work with my ancestors, I work with the elements. Um, and this is a cultivation I've been kind of seriously practicing for the last 10 years. And yeah, I've got some skills with vibrational physics, and I can clear up disturbances. I use the astrology chart to see what kind of energies you're running and how to balance those energies. And this is a part of working with the elements, really aligning with different elements to help balance the chart. So, um, elemental work, I mean, we have a lot of allies here. We have a lot of amazing tools at our fingertips if we just get conscious of them and align our will and intent with them. So it begins, as we talked about in the last the last pod, we talked about kind of the understanding of astrology as they relate to the elements, and we talked a lot about just the history. And so now we're moving into like a little bit more about practices. I'm going to actually call in the directions and create a sacred container and kind of just show what that's like. We talked about really aligning with your birth, the land of your genealogy, your land of, because we are all native to the earth. So where are you native to the earth? And how to connect through offerings to those places. And for me, I work with my ancestors, so that really connects me to the land of my birth, or my birth and my lineage. So I don't know that land, but I am learning about it through my ancestors. So there's ways, even though everything has been kind of scattered and there's a lot of resets. And actually, this great talk from this guy was talking about the reason why they don't want us to know that they're cataclysmic resets in this reality is because they can't push the materialism so much. If like if they knew that if we knew that it would just be reset. So this is part of the deep dives in history, and it's just all in our faces. That we have ancient cultures. And I really get a lot from the ancients and even the 1800s. Just some amazing information was being shared. And so, anyways, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. So I wanted to begin by doing some grounding practices, and these are practices that you can do. Um, so I call this one Isis wings, and you bring your arms out like wings, and then you raise them up to the heavens, and then you, with an audible exhale, like you're falling, like the sound of falling. Ah, and that clears the channel. So we'll do it again. Deep breath in. Ah. One more time. Ah. And then we're going to do 4 rounds of humming like the bees. So it just go as long as you can. We don't have to do it in unison. You just do 4 rounds. So we begin together. The deep breath in. All right.
Well, that feels
You see
so
how
good because what we're
the
doing
air just changed.
changes because
Yeah.
it's like changing stations, but it really does uplift your energy when you connect to that
Mm-hmm.
space. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have here my drum, and I was going to call in the directions and create a sacred container for what we're going to talk about today. So we begin in the east. And now there are different elements for different cultures. So I'm just going to do the ones that I know, but recognize there are more, and different cultures will align with different um, aspects of these elements. So we begin with the east, powers of the air, of the wind, the bird tribes, Isis, Horus, the winged ones, Mut, the protective vulture, Raharakti, the eagle, the rising sun, the place at the dawn of the new day. Guard and protect this right. Thank you to the east. Powers of the south, place of fire, summer sun and the summer fruits, place of Sekhmet, lioness, place of adolescence. Thank you, fire, for protecting this right. Place of the west, the beautiful water, all the waters of the rivers in my area, the Noyo, the Albion, the Navarro, Big River, beautiful ocean, all the creatures of the sea, the galactic mermaid. Guard and protect this right. Place of the north, beautiful green earth, the trees, the giant trees, buffalo, Jeb and Canoe, Potter God. Guard and protect this right. Right. So we've created the sacred circle,
Mhm.
calling in all the elements. We're going to close them out at the end and release them. You always want to, if you call them in, you want to release them
Mm.
from your right. So, Jemaa, how are you? You look very relaxed.
Well, it's a bummer because we can't hear the drum so that's the only thing. But I was imagining it. But yeah, I totally went into a whole different.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the drum didn't.
Um,
Yeah, for
hmm,
some reason. But I it was imagining it. But it's just so beautiful to. It grounds me because I have a lot of air, and so I need.
yes, we both have a lot of air.
We both have a lot of air, yes, in our chart. So it's
So our minds are like all the time.
all the
So
time. Like,
it,
okay, so this.
it's really about countering too, that countering all that mental energy,
Mhm.
um, not and realizing what am I thinking right now? I have a lot of moments now where I can actually change the trajectory of my thoughts, and that's where you really want to get if you have a lot of air, is to really be able to have power over your mind. So,
And
yeah.
pull it back in. Yeah, I do. And that's another beautiful part of being in this menopausal stage, that we're in. It's like
Mm,
wielding that power, wielding
mhm,
like, oh, wait a minute, I'm too much in there, and then bringing my energy back and into my body. And doing
mhm.
that is just what you did, is doing these practices help ground us to this plane, and then working with the elements help us as well. And
Yeah, and that's maturity. We should be getting to this level, we shouldn't be in these
is that what it is?
cyclical. Yeah, it is. That's good. We need to be.
It is.
I know. We're still really immature
We are
though.
so well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, yeah, no, yeah, totally. We have to. That's just being playful, though. So it's not like immaturity. It's still
Yes. Yeah.
honoring our inner child to be playful and laugh um, and be in the playful realms as well. Yeah,
Yes, the playful realms.
too. Yeah.
Yes. So, my first thing I want to get into is just anyone who is paying attention to this pod, to ask yourself what your relationship is to the elements. Is it positive? And because we are, increasingly faced with more weather terror, They're just like, I remember last year there was a storm warning when I was out, and I was in February. I just went inland for a little bit to like Chico and Grass Valley, and I was kind of like all over there. And I was leaving Chico, coming to the coast, and it was like, warning, warning, because there was the kind of a last snow thing that was going to actually hit the mountains. It wasn't going to hit where I was, but everybody gets the warning. So it's like sends these waves of like, oh gosh, I got to go buy things. There could be a storm, but it's like literally so sunny and like there's nothing happening the
Right.
whole time. So it's like now everybody's getting the warning when there's an earthquake way up in Ukiah. All the people are getting warnings way inland, I got this earthquake warning. It was crazy. It was like, "Wah, wah." It was more terrifying than the actual earthquake that was happening. And because I was like, why is my phone doing that? That's so weird, So it's like we just have to recognize that we're being terrorized. And this is part of the whole messaging of climate change and the whole thing. It's just, I guess we should come up with a
I
code
think
word
that's
for
why we're
that.
being shadow banned already with our really small channel. So,
Well, I just think, yeah.
so
I mean, we're a
yes,
very small channel, so we're
I
not
know that's
really.
why they should, but yeah. So, and I see two people watching us. So I'm going to say hello. You don't have to say who
Oh,
you
thanks for watching.
Thanks for being here with us. Yay!
The point is,
The
anyways, we're
shadow
being
band because
terrorized.
we had 2 likes last week on our
So
live,
we
and
had
now we have
three. We
zero.
had
Oh,
three
we had
likes.
three. We had 3 likes on
Yeah.
our video, and now we have zero. So YouTube is already going, uh-oh.
And one was me. One was my like. I was like, God, why? It was weird.
So
But
anyway,
we're not here to be popular. We're not here to like blow up.
we
We're
are
just here to share some
actually.
information.
Actually, my Scorpio moon doesn't really want to be seen. So
I know.
perfect.
Well, both the Virgos, we're both like, but the Virgo rising, we're just like, oh God, the
Yeah, this is
public,
big for us to
we're
even get
hermits.
on here, but it's so fun. I love having our conversation. So we just, it's a pull. It's like, no, we have to. We got to get on and share because that's what it's all about right now is everyone sharing their knowledge and gifts, and it is through these beautiful little square electronic things.
Yeah,
So
yes, exactly. So, in asking yourself about your relationship to the different elements, find where you maybe need to connect more. Like I have trouble with wind. Wind and air are very challenging because I have so much air. So part of it is I work with water. Water really helps me ground having so much wind, water and earth. So, but it's really about having a balance with all of them. So slowly I've become more in tune with the wind because the wind it's very important because I have a lot of it. And so I really need to pay attention to all the bird messages and, the timing of things. I'm rereading a Castaneda, The Journey to Ixtlan. I found it in like a free book thing, and I was like, oh, it's so cool because he really is like Don Juan is really saying, like there's messaging all the time if you're in tune. But if you're so in your head and so full of your own self-importance, you will not be able to tune in to a message that's coming right there. Like he'll say something and then it'll be like, oh, this crow did something right there. And it's just like that's an affirmation. So it's like tuning in and paying attention to nature. So you know, when we get into some of our practices, also you want to think about if you're making offerings, which you really do want to make offerings, and when you make offerings you really want to say it out loud, like this tobacco is for the spirits of the land or the ancestors of the land. Now, I don't direct things specifically to a certain culture because I don't know all the cultures that have been on the land because of our false history. So we have to really pay attention to like, are we, unless you're directing it specifically to the Pomo or to, but if you want to include everybody, you say spirits of the land and the ancestors of this land. I offer this to you. And you have to make sure that you're offering something that's appropriate. So, tune into the fruits, and the squash and the corn, but make sure you're not leaving trash. No trashing the land. So it must be able to um, return to the earth or be an offering for the birds, or you know what I mean? So it's you, like I remember my friend left an offering of a macaroon that was half in chocolate covered out, and it was giant. It was like big. And the seagull came and picked it up and like had this lump in its, and I was like, girl, I don't, that was the best thing. So we have to think about too, if I don't offer chocolate unless I'm throwing it into the fire or something, because I have dogs around. So I don't want anyone to get hurt from my offering. So we have to be aware of the offerings we're making. So we can begin, because we are in fire season now, not fire like season
Right.
terror, weather terror wise, but we are in Aries, which is electric fire. So we just had this whole bursting forth of what was brewing underground. Remember, we had the worm full moon. Well, the worm full moon was an indication of everything that's been teeming and bubbling underneath the surface. And now the angle of light of the sun has crossed the equator, and it's now shining brighter and is closer to us. And so all of a sudden we get this burst of energy. Well, this is Aries fire. And so it helps to tune in astrologically to the element of the astrology. So Aries, we begin with fire. It's we're beginning spring. Everything is bursting forward, and it's an electric fire. There's different kinds of fire for the elements. There's frictional fire, which is Sagittarius, and the Leo fire, which is solar, because Leo is connected to the sun, and that's like the height of the summer, right? In Leo. So it's very dramatic. I make fires here because I live in the country. So to heat my workspace, I have a big wood stove. So I have a practice of always making a prayer to the fire and really being thankful for the warmth and the wood and all the things that make the fire. So, in working with fire, it's, the intention. You can light a candle and be like, thank you for this fire. Thank you for the flame. And again, it's really about saying things out loud. And start to feel like a crazy person because you're talking to everything. But, it's really, it makes the intention, it's like spell casting. It's like when you say things out loud, you're putting it out there to the ether, and it is being heard. So you can say things in your head, and that has an effect, but you really want to get into practicing and saying things out loud. So with
Yeah.
fire, I like to, offer tobacco. Sometimes when I'm doing fire ceremonies, they want, you tune into the spirits of the fire, the energies of the fire. They want like fish or meat. Sometimes, that's kind of gets into a little more advanced practices, but you can actually feed the fire. You can feed it food and drink, and so there's sometimes fire wants some spirits, so a little alcohol, but of course, it is flammable, so be aware of that. But even just a little pinch of tobacco. Now, I always just have a little tobacco with me because we live in California, and I know that that is an offering that's pretty universal.
It
A
is.
little loose leaf tobacco. Yeah. So it goes a long way. Burning it is great too. Sometimes I burn it with charcoal. I get a little charcoal round. I break them up because there's so much.
Mhm.
And then light it and then put, different herbs on it or resins. I collect resin from the pines here. I burn that and offer it. But really the important thing is directing it. Who's it for? Who's it for? You really want to be clear with that. Did she have a question, Jemaa?
No questions. Nope. Yep. But
Okay.
still, thank you for watching. Who's still here?
Questions or comments?
Yeah, yeah. If you have any questions, ask. Yeah, for sure. And right now we are going over in depth the elements, and we're going over fire right now. I wanted to actually make that clear,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
which is also the position of the South.
Position.
So
Okay.
they go together. Now,
Yeah.
I mentioned Sekhmet. So getting into the Neteru, the nature spirits of Egypt, Sekhmet is a great, if you really want to like tune into fire and align, there's some great books with Nikki Scully. She wrote a lot about Sekhmet and
Mm,
her power, so there's this power to bring the plagues and to take away the plagues. And there's a whole story with Sekhmet and like her coming down, being called down to earth when there was a lot of it was like warring, murder, there was just like kind of this chaos going down on earth, and she was sent down there and then kind of got bloodthirsty. So she has this raging power, and also the power is for good or for evil or for bad, so there's two sides to the fire, right? Because we got these fires that will just like destroy. We have natural fires and we have unnatural fires, so um it's one of those things. It's dangerous, but it's also powerful and a good, it has a cleansing and a purifying way. The smoke of the fire is amazing. You can also use ash from your fire. If you make a fire, ash is a great way to protect your space. Um, you can make a circle around your space with the ash and call for protection. So
mhm,
there's a lot of ways to use ash. In Hawaii, for hula, they would burn their leis and then take the ash with water and oil and make patterns on the skirts. So it
mm,
was like a way to protect them as they're dancing.
beautiful.
So, and create a design that symbolizes that particular lineage.
Mm.
So um, yeah, there's a lot to do with fire. So
Well, yeah.
that is the element of fire.
I'm going to
Go
add too,
ahead.
'cause I have a wood burning stove as well. And so I'm always thanking the wood because it's not just wood, so I can't even get it like they were trees. They were our family. I feel like I was a tree in a past, redwood specifically. So they are our ancestors that are giving us warmth and fire. So I do exactly what you said is like a little thank you, for the warmth, because that's what I have to heat up our house is a wood burning stove, which I love. Yeah. And then the smoke is cleansing. Yeah. And then the ash I do put around the property for protection back with our tree ancestors. So I just wanted to add that. But yeah, that's why it's really important to be thanking the elements, and fire and the wood, and then I wanted to add also, like you said, herbs to burn as well, which I love. So we have your sage, which is very cleansing, and then also cedar, because I know we love we've talked about how powerful cedar is, and that actually was burned more than sage worldwide for cleansing. So you can like get little bundles of sage if you don't have the tree around, and cleanse your space and do this practice like what we're talking about. So
Yeah,
yeah.
really, really.
So yeah,
Okay, and then we move.
we're
Then
moving
we
on.
move to water.
Water. Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
And that
In the
represents,
West.
okay, water in the West. Okay.
Yes, and water is. I don't know. I've had so much joy through water, and being in water. I used to surf for many years, just obsessed with swimming. I was in just love water, and water is just where I find so much peace. And it's interesting because I'm less in the water now, but I'm more reverent for water. It's more of a conscious, like it's given me so much joy. Now I'm at the banks of the river with, offerings, and just always so grateful to see the water, see it moving, see it flowing. I make up songs for the water, and there's lots of songs for water you can tune into and learn, and just really like, because we are water. So we really have to align with water. It's very important for our being.
Mhm.
So
It
I
really
even sometimes
very yeah, it's
talk to,
very healing. Like for me, I don't like
yeah,
being in the water, but I feel so at peace. I can be on the water. I could live on a boat and yeah, being near the water. It's just so soothing and especially if I'm in my perfect scenario of a creek, river, in the woods. That's like the ultimate
yeah.
healing. But yes. Yep. That's amazing.
Yeah, for a long time after my transition leaving Hawaii, I had a river nearby, and it
Mm,
was a confluence of two rivers coming. It's the American River before it hit Sacramento in Auburn, and it's just so stunning. And I would just find all these different spots and just bring my drum and just sit by the river and listen. You can gaze into the water, you know, you can really like tune into the sound is like meditative, but it's even like my bath water. Sometimes I'm just like, thank
mm,
you for cleansing me, so it's important to I when I fill up my little water jug, I'm just like, I love you, water. I love you, every time, because I mean, it's been shown over and over how water is affected by words, is affected by energy. So it's, we're always in contact with water. So we
mhm,
need to really just develop that conscious relationship. And through words is very powerful, you know.
mhm. Well, and
So
all these
go
elements that
ahead.
we're going over, they are consciousness. So we're connecting with and it's a higher frequency of consciousness. So that's why it's so important to connect with it because it does heal and get us out of the false consciousness that we have been, kind of muddling through and going, wait a minute, we don't want to be where there's, like you talked about the war on weather and just the conscious captured um assaults that been having to go through. So connecting with these elements really raises us out of that frequency of the captured consciousness. So that's why it's really important. And that's why we're going over this, right?
That's a tongue twister.
Let's
Captured consciousness. Captured
yeah,
consciousness.
capture. And also casual, like I say about what, yeah, because so it is, and that's why we can actually work with, once we really are connecting with these elements, we can work with these elements, even if they've been programmed to do negative, bad, the weather warfare, with the fires, floods, all of that. So when we are really aligning with the true nature of nature, then we can go in and transmute um, the dark stuff that's happening with nature. So that's
Yeah,
why,
I mean, the whole point of all of this is that it's here for us. It's just tuning in.
right.
It's all here.
So, yep.
So,
Yeah.
what are you tuning into? What are you paying attention? Because
Mhm.
you're paying with your life force. So, are you paying attention to nature? Are you asking? Are you, because it's all about humility too. It's like ask, listen to the response, move forward, and then, offer. I always like, sometimes I don't have offerings. I'll be like, well, what do you guys want? And I'll come back with it, and I promise to come back with offerings of what they want.
Yeah.
So but that was a cultivation. It took a lot of years and a lot of my energy, connecting. So it's not like overnight, but it's like also you're think of it at like a relationship. So that's what's cool about the Egyptian Netrus. They were never really intended to be gods and goddesses. They were elevated to that. But it was just really about okay, here's a being to represent this. You could connect with this being. It gives it something concrete for us to connect with, the energies of Sekhmet, the energies of Isis. You know, if that's the way you get connected, that's great. Mother Mary, too, is also the water, So anything Mary is water, because
Mhm.
that is the mariner, that source of the word. So, if it's through one of these, specific beings that you connect, that's a great way too. So I was in deep devotion to the Black Madonna for many years, and that really helped me with my connection to water
Mm.
also. So there's all these different allies that are here, and they all connect to that consciousness of the elements. Um, and
Mhm.
water includes the ether. It includes why our thoughts are, I think about somebody and, boom, they're calling me. It's faster than our technology. It is a technology, the ether. It's an organic technology. So we have to tune into our thoughts because they are traveling through the ether very quickly, you know. So that's a part of water too, the ether.
Yeah.
So
Now, do you
yeah.
know why water is connected to the south? And maybe go over the direct, like what
Not connected to the south. It's connected to the west.
the west spot.
Yeah.
Okay. I said south. Okay, so water is west. Okay.
West is where the water is. I mean, at least here.
Okay.
Um, I don't know um, why it's connected, but I just know that's the association. I mean, for us here, we're in the west is where the ocean is.
Great.
So it's easy. So, I guess the East Coast would be different,
Hmm.
you know, but it's also where the sun rises and the sun sets. So we know east is where the sun rises.
Mhm.
Therefore, west is where the sun sets. So maybe that's the association too,
Okay.
because the that like in Egypt, when you would die, they would say you're westing. So it was like you were going under, where the sun was setting. There was that is a watery place too.
Interesting.
So yeah. Um, and then okay, so moving on, we're moving to the north.
Okay.
The north is represented by Earth, and of course, Earth encompasses all these elements too. So it is it is a separate element, but it's also connected to all of them. And also, part of why we work with these elements is because we are these elements too. So they are inside of us. We have a fire. We have water. We have air. Everything is inside of us. So this is the part of the reflection, the alignment with all of what is inner and the outer, that reflection, and being in and what do you want to say? Like in alignment, I guess is the best word. With those energies helps to align and balance our energies. So Earth, which is represented in the north, it's just amazing just to sit on the earth. Like if you sit low in the energetic, you know, on the actual not on a chair, but if you can get on the ground, I did that for years. just even outside when I couldn't go to water, or I just go right outside and just put a blanket down and sit down and then have my drum. And then if you have some kind of musical instrument, you can really create a resonance with the energies. And and it's interesting with drums, birds start chirping like crazy when you play the drums. They're just like, totally respond. So it just is like, if you have some kind of instrument, it's a great way to come into resonance with earth. And of course, making offerings, tuning into, when I moved here, I made offerings to the land, the spirits of the land and the ancestors of the land. I actually buried some big crystals that I knew wanted to go back to the earth. And then allies came forward. Two allies came forward,
Mhm.
and they became my protectors on the land when I'm moving through the forest, or so they the land is also so I just want to say, it's not thirsty, but it's just like so desiring our attention, our real attention, not just being utilized like, oh, I'm going to use this land to ride my bike and or do some activity. It's like, if you're really just like tuning in and offering your attention, it's really responds, and actually it gives back so much more than you've given. So it's a real amazing thing to experience. And some people, they may experience it in ceremony and things like that, when there's actually like that intention and the group, because we all magnify the energy when we're in a group and a ceremony. Um, but it's just on your own. You can really, uh, you know, just get so much back. And the land is just so ready for you to connect with it. It's so ready where you live, especially because you actually do want to be in harmony with the energies where you live. Even if you're in the city, you want to have some kind of, and you can say only those of love and light. You can be really clear. It's not just anybody can come forward, and but I'm looking for those of love and light with my greatest destiny and purpose,
Mhm.
in mind. So this is something you do with ancestors too, because all the ancestors are not necessarily the best to work with, because some are wounded, some are still evolving, and they are not in their greatest, they're not here for our greatest destiny and purpose. They want to help us, but we really have to be specific about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so in working with the earth offerings, they love, the tobacco. Sometimes when I'm making coffee, I got extra coffee, I'll bring it out to the land and offer it. Again, it's about directing this coffee is for the spirits of the land, the ancestors of the land.
Mhm.
They love offerings. They love, hugs, tree hugs, all that. And
And the earth
be
also
creative,
has ley lines too, so that's what really is happening too.
right?
So there's multiple things going on, connecting with the land and just really merging and honoring, like you just said, that was beautiful. Like the land is just wants our attention, but in such a different way with our consciousness. But then there's also ley lines. And so when we do this practice, uh, it helps clear those ley lines that have been blocked, over time, with more negative forces. So, and kind
Yeah,
of,
and what's happening is that lower, like when you actually give some attention, you're actually like alchemizing the lower vibrational energies. So it's raising the frequency, which automatically clears lower stuff. So, and then in Egypt, there's like some great, like there's Jeb, Geb. He's a great ally for the north. Also, Khnum, Knum. Khnum is the potter god, and he remakes you. So I'm kind of like been in a phase, in midlife, I'm in a phase of working with Khnum because he reshapes you on the wheel, So he is a beautiful representation of Earth as well. So
That's really cool.
yeah, that's a little bit about the north. And then we move into the east, where it all began with the air
Mm.
and the rising sun. And this is, the wind. Wind is a part of it. So I think it's been really challenging with wind because if you have a lot of wind in your chart and it's windy, it's like too much. We get overwinded.
I will not get in unless I absolutely have to, like convertible cars. I can't, I
Oh
get
no, no.
so freaked out. I cannot have windows down. I can't have that. Yeah, because so when you mentioned it earlier, I'm like, yeah, that's I just the wind. But like you said, like make friends with the wind. So where not far from here, it gets really windy in the town I actually was born. And so when I go there, I actually do connect with the wind and go, okay, what are you telling me? And just so I can be okay with it. So it's just interesting
Yeah,
that you, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I talk about a lot that, Don Juan of the Castaneda books, the Don Juan Matus, the Yaqui Indian he was working with, said be aware of the wind because there's like energies ride on the wind.
Mhm.
So sometimes you get when you have really strong windstorms, there are energies that have it's so confusing, but energies kind of get on there and they can actually come in to your field if you're exposed to it. So you really want to also just be aware when it's really windy and if you're out, in certain kind of winds, because some winds feel harsher than others.
Mhm.
North winds are always like, ooh, extra cold. Um, and some winds feel a little manufactured.
Oh, totally.
So it's to,
I have a story with
yeah, pay attention.
just on that, like, and this is before I was really connected, this is back in my 20s, you know, just kind of learning about, energy and all of that. And then I got married and then we went to the Big Island for part of our honeymoon because that's my ex-husband's family is from Waipio Valley. And this is before I even knew I was dealing with, other spirits in the other realms and no, anyway, so we're there and it was so windy. We're at the overlook of Waipio Valley, and there was just spirits. I had to dodge. I was like, oh my God, there's like, there's spirits in this wind, and they're like trying to get, I knew they were trying to get in my body. So at least I was a little bit, knew what was going on back then. But he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I look like a total, but they do. They ride on those winds and it was so windy. Like I thought like we went to another lookout and I was so scared because I literally thought I was going to get just shoved off of the face of this cliff. He's like, "You're going to be fine." I'm like, "I don't think so." Like ducking, but I think they want to off me. No, but yes, that's like so be very so that was my first encounter with the spirits you're talking about on wind. So,
Yeah, and remember I told you that there was a big hurricane that wiped out a whole community of people before, you know, the warnings, sirens and things before they had those. It was long ago. So a whole community had been wiped out in Waipio Valley.
oh, no
And
way. Okay.
yeah, you don't remember I told you that? Oh, okay.
When was that? When? No, I
That
don't.
was I don't know the dates, but I know it was long ago. There was actually some
Because they
wild
felt
weather.
really upset. They were upset spirits. They were unsettled. They're, what it was like, that's why I was like ducking because they were just like slightly angry. Not like evil, dark, like but they just were like nomadic or like just this angry energy. And they were, yeah. So It was interesting. So I did back then did do a little prayer like, hey, you know, maybe you guys need to go to the light, or, I didn't know what I was doing back then, but since now I know what to do
Yeah,
with those kind of spirits that are kind of nomading around.
yeah. And Hawaiians they have many chants for the wind, like thousands, because
Okay.
there's so many different kinds of wind. And part of the relationship, because I danced hula for 10 years, you
Mhm.
really learn to connect to the different elements through chanting and through offerings. So they all these different, there's all these beautiful stories of like, coming into a certain energy, and then Hi'iaka or Pele has this specific chant, for that, and it changes the energy. So this gets into why we want to say things out loud too. It's part of that, like chant and song. So yeah. So the East is I love the birds, the bird energy. So, and I really like whenever we talk and you're out, you're like, oh, there's a hawk. There's like certain birds that I'm in relationship with.
Mhm.
So that's always good too. And connecting to the East is to really connect to that, because that is represents the higher mind.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, no, birds
And
are
that those
very,
are the elements.
those are the elements and the
Those
directions,
are
and
the elements.
elements are
And
connected.
as they relate to the directions,
Yeah, and
as
it's,
they relate to the chart, as they relate to
yeah,
the season.
exactly.
So
The
yeah.
astrology, our blueprint to, really kind of figuring it out, and why we go through emotions. And like we were talking about before getting on, like it's all about action, right? So it's like, yeah, we're going into the details with the elements, but it's also now it's like we're in it's spring, like the worm moon, it's like unearthing, and then now we're out, and now it's like it just feels like action, action. I'm not hibernating during winter, but it's all about the astrology, also, and your specific astrology blueprint, like my chart, maybe I'm more hibernation than somebody else in winter. So that's what it felt like, but it's just like kind of like, and then now I'm like, go, go, go. I'm like in total action mode right now. So,
Yeah, because it's March.
because it's
Now
March,
it's April. We
right?
start with March, which
March.
literally means go,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
move.
I was like, wow, I'm really,
Yeah, and
yeah.
when you start to align with the seasons, then you're like, you won't be fooled because you'll be in alignment with the energies. So January 1st, you set those resolutions. It's not gonna, you're not gonna have the momentum that you have, in Aries season,
And that's another sign,
Capricorn season
right?
is.
Next week we're gonna cover the psyop of astrology.
Yeah, yeah, that's coming next week. Yeah. So if this feels complete, we can close the
Yeah,
directions.
beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sticking with us, whoever the one person is. Yeah, and leave a comment. Oh, please like, please like our video, so maybe we'll get the one like. Maybe they'll keep that on there. Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
here for
it's
likes.
beautiful, Caitlin. I just love, yeah, going into these conversations, and yeah, so thank you. And so yeah, let's close this circle conversation.
Powers of the North, place of Earth, we release you. Thank you for being with us. Powers of the water, place of West, we release you. Thank you for being with us. Powers of the South, place of fire, we release you. Thank you for being with us. Powers of the East, release of air. We release you. The circle is open, but never unbroken.
Beautiful. Thank you. Amazing, Caitlin.
My
Um,
drum sounds so good.
so join us next Friday. We're gonna do this every Friday live at noon Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, and that feels very complete with the directions and elements of how you can work with them in your reality to help you create what you want, to help you live more aligned with what you came in here to do. So, and if you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and go check us out
It's
on,
also
yeah.
it's also there to really calm your energy
Mhm.
during all this, heightened stuff going on.
Right.
It's good to pull you out of that and pull you into another reality because it's very centering. So
Well, it is, and you just see, I just got a vision of like static. It's like, and our energy can get dispersed if there's just so much static going on. And this practice with the elements really centers us and aligns us, because Earth is Mother Earth, and she is also like, I just got goosebumps because she's just our mother. She's our Earth. That's like, she's here. Her
yeah, she's the great
consciousness,
mother.
she's a great mother, and her consciousness can wrap us in her arms, just like you said, go hug a tree, go hug the ground, go, hug what, just, or just feel Mother Earth's energy around you when you go out into your favorite nature spot. But that's what these elements do, is to connect you and remind you of that connection you have to stay centered. And then that's where the creation starts in your own reality. So yes.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll see you next Friday. And I think we're gonna, yeah, unless we touch on more of what we just talked about today, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the astrology psyop next
And
Friday.
anyone who watches, leave a comment about what your practice is. If you have a practice,
Yeah.
what brings you into alignment with the earth energies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you next time.